Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by lineups.com. Nate and Josh here on a Thursday with you guys. We've got 5 games in the NBA, so we're going to be taking a look at some best bets for these. Also have some player props in addition to those sides and totals, and bringing both of those bets to you each and every weekday moving forward in this one episode. So make sure to subscribe to the channel and don't miss all the action this season. Let's get into a pretty good game here for your first best bet, Nate. I think it's going to be a good game. We'll see what Lakers show up, but we know which Raptors are going to show up.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe you do lean towards the team total, therefore, if you're taking the over here. Just got to mention real quick, we were actually back yesterday, folks.
Okay.
And our producer, Brad, just to throw him under the bus, just straight up did not post the video, but opened with the Denver Indy over, which hit. So let's try to hit another over here to start the Thursday.
We love you, Brad.
Yeah, Brad works real hard. Yeah, I mean, I like the Raptors offense here most of all. I mean, no Pirtle, so more small ball lineups. No Marcus Smart for the Lakers, and bearing the lead, no Luka Doncic, which generally actually means more pace. The 4 games without Luka this season, Lakers have been up to a 101.6 pace. That's 3 possessions higher. They've averaged 5 more points per game. Both teams, that is. They got up to 239 in terms of the total. So we're going to see Reeves and LeBron kind of put their stamp on the game. LeBron, even at this stage, is in his career is very much like, yo, let's push it. Like, let's advance the ball, right? I mean, he is a master of the fast break still, much less of a half court pound the rock guy like Luka. And I don't know. There's definitely a scenario where LeBron's like, oh, y'all thought I couldn't carry a team. Like you thought I was just fading into my glue roll with Luka in there. And now with Luka out, like I'm about to flex and show you what I can do. The props are definitely up for him, indicating that that's a possibility. And I think he could put up a big line, but I think in general, that just means more offense. The LeBron Reeves combo is not scaring anyone defensively. Without Marcus Smart, the Lakers have a 124 defensive rating their last 3. The on-off splits are notable all season. And without Jakob Poeltl, the Raptors jumped from a 110 to a 120 defensive rating. So I think going to be an up and down game. I definitely favor the offenses. And if you just want the Raptors total, that's 115. If you think the Lakers could, kind of punt this one as the market is kind of dictating, it's swung from dogs to favorites for Toronto, and the Lakers are at Boston tomorrow. So maybe they are just going to kind of look ahead and concentrate on that bigger game.
I can see it. I think, yeah, the pace is what you look at in terms of difference with and without Luka. Obviously, they're really efficient offense with him, but we're about to see what happens with Reeves and LeBron back at the helm as just sort of the duo that they are, and they're going to have a bit more help than they had last season. I would argue. So yeah, we're probably good here for some points in this one. If we look at this game with the Warriors and Sixers in Philly, don't know what's going to happen with the points, to be honest. I didn't even look at that. I just really am looking at what happens when this team plays without Steph Curry. And by the way, this injury report for the Warriors kind of mirrors the 49ers in a way, like these Bay Area teams with nobody left to play on their rosters. Kyle Shanahan looking at this thing like, man, those poor Warriors. But I would say that, like, if you're going to be without a center, it doesn't really matter who's playing center for the Sixers. Probably going to be Embiid at this point, or Embiid, not Embiid and Drummond. At this point, I would be looking at some Drummond dominating the boards there, because let's say that they do get one of the Quentin Post, Trace Jackson Davis, Al Horford, all questionable to play. I imagine one of them plays. Do you feel like any of them can box out Andre Drummond? I don't. So that's going to be a huge problem down low. Is like Philly's really going to have an advantage down low, which is something that, like, when they've had it, they're actually pretty good. And you like, look, Tyrese Maxey's around at this. We know what he's doing. He's up at like 31, 32 and a half point props for a reason. I like his assist because I do think that this defense will throw like Gary Payton Jr. on him and try to trap him there. But now we're still talking about, like, I think one of Grimes or PG is going to play. And honestly, even if they don't, with Edgecombe back and Jared McCain out there, they've got what they need. I would argue to really like take care of business here when you just look at who's going to be out there with them. And if you look at the Warriors without Steph this season, 6 games, 107 points per game without him, 107 offensive rating, 108 points per game without him. That's about 10 points less than when they play with him in the 16 games they've had with him this season. Doesn't really take a genius to go, wow, this team's not as good at offense without the best shooter of all time on the floor. And also Jimmy Butler is questionable, by the way. So there could be a little bit of like, let's punt this and like get everybody a few more days of rest to play against Cleveland on Saturday. That wouldn't surprise me at all. It's about to be a tough East Coast, it's still a tough East Coast swing for the Warriors whenever they come out. So it's just not a great way to start out with all these guys on the injury report.
Yeah, I'm sure Steve Kerr is going to cry about the travel problems for them. It's like, yeah, you play on the East Coast, you're going from the West Coast. Jimmy, I mean, they already punted at OKC, right?
Mhm.
Jimmy like got a little knee tweak and just came right out. Was like, yeah,
Yeah.
we ain't winning this one. So
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, this team, there's just the vibes are so low. I left this for you because I figured you'd be down to fade them.
definitely.
The Nets, though, I mean, you can't Jordy proof this roster forever, man. The Nets are playing defense somehow, some way, and winning games. MPJ looking pretty good. And now we get Jazz on the road, so I do think that is an under. Jazz have played some wild games. Don't get me wrong. The last three against the Eastern Conference have been fast paced, high scoring. But if you get them in the right spot on the road, they are generally trending to an under. I mean, they're 5-3 to the under on the road this season by 7 points per game. And Nurkic might not play, which actually he's kind of like a pretty good hub for their offense. Even though he can't make the shots, like nice screen assist, nice
Yeah.
movement, right? But I mean, it's more about the Nets defense and their slow pace, second slowest pace in the league over the last 10. They're 9-1 under this total. They're on a back-to-back here, flying home from Chicago, a Chicago offense that is far more prolific than Utah, and they just held in check. And they are 13-6 to the under on back-to-backs with Jordy at the helm here. They're 18-12 to the under Jordy after a win. And they've got it going a little bit here. The last four since Thanksgiving, since like a little mini break for a lot of these teams, sixth in the defensive rating, top 10 limiting free throws, which is huge. Utah's depending on the free throws. And their offense still not great. Second highest turnover rate, 23rd in offensive rating. Utah doesn't really force turnovers. So, I mean, both these teams are heavily dependent on assisted field goals. And I just trust Jordy with his well-coached defense to just stay home, to just not allow those easy pass and shoot opportunities and keep the Jazz from letting this game get loose.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I don't know I don't know what to do with Brooklyn because Michael Porter Jr. is just blowing my mind. Honestly, his ability to score without being fed the ball, his aggression, like it's all working. But yeah, as far as the total in this one goes, like it's definitely not the same Utah Jazz team at home. It's a really good opportunity always to target them there. So let me look at this Wizards game here. Like don't hate the messenger, but like when I look at the two rosters playing today and you just look at the lineups, sometimes it's just that simple. And you just go, wait a second, there's just as many good players playing on this team as it seems like they're on that team. Now, granted, Chris Middleton and CJ McCollum are adding to what I'm saying here a lot, and they're not very young. They're not dead, and especially CJ McCollum, who's at a 19.5 points prop, and I think that's reasonable for him in a game where he's going to be playing a defense that doesn't double the ball. And without Jaylen Brown, like, look, this defense will probably still be pretty normal. In fact, I prefer an under in this game when you look at the way that the Celtics play without Jaylen Brown. I think that's just as good of a bet here, but I'm taking 10 points, man, for sure, because at home for the Wizards, when you, like I said, put these two teams side by side with who's going to be starting, and you take Jaylen Brown out of there. Again, this comes down to a lot of I love Derek White. I love him. He is not your first option. He should not be your second option if you're going to be a really functional offense. Like he's not a scorer. He's not a playmaker for himself. He's not a shot creator. He's a playmaker and a sort of connector and a really, really smart, good shooter with a lot of skills, but that's not going to do it because they have no one to break down this defense. And look, Washington's not going to play great defense necessarily, but they're going to be good enough where there's nobody going at them at the rim. And that's the key, is that they are dead last in everything that has to do with protecting the rim, protecting the paint, limiting drives. They're terrible at it. Who's driving to the rim? This is a clear, like, Jaylen Brown 45-point outburst if he's playing and they actually keep this thing close, because he's the dude who's just going to get where he wants when he wants. There's nobody doing that. Like at this point, Anthony Simons is someone I'd be targeting for points because he is someone who's actually shooting off the pull-up a bit more and someone who's actually driving with success. Peyton Pritchard passing a lot off of those drives. Don't mind his assists in this game, but everything's bloated for him and Derek White big time. And I think this game will be a little bit slower. The pace goes down. The pace stays about the same with JB, but it's a 121 offensive rating with him on the court. It's a 111 offensive rating with him off the court this season. I just think that's going to be magnified massively in this one.
Yeah, it's a trap spot big time for Boston, right? Home versus the Knicks. Then you go down to Washington on the front end and then back to face the Lakers, as I said. So, like, why are they really up for this game? Like, yeah, there's a reason Jaylen Brown is not playing. First time all season, Jaylen Brown's not playing.
Yep.
And yeah, I got caught trying to take the Wiz as like my third tier play a couple nights ago while you were out on a back-to-back in Philly. They lost by 30. They just alternate between this like, oh my God, they were actually competitive to they lost by 30.
Yeah.
But usually it's been away and then back home they're competitive. So it makes sense to say if this was in Boston, I want no part of it.
Yeah.
No matter who's out, right? But if it's in Washington, yeah, they can get frisky and Boston could fall in the trap.
Yeah.
Player props. Deandre Ayton mentioned the Lakers situation there with no Luka. And so I think it's just going to be a lot of setting this dude up. Like both AR and LeBron are kind of tailor made to either pick and pop or pick and lob. Like Reeves throwing the lob to Ayton has been money. So I think this guy's going to be blushing like, wow, I haven't been fed the ball this much since, I played with Chris Paul a while back. And he's averaged 21 on 23% usage and 4 without Luka this season, all with AR, of course. Compared to the last 3 games with all 3 of these guys in the lineup, where he's only at 17 points per game, still more than this number. And like I said, no Pirtle. The Raptors have a 121 defensive rating in their last few without him, and they've allowed 50 offensive rebounds. So, I mean, there's putback opportunities. I mean, LBJ actually missed one of those last 3 games I mentioned. And in that game, Ayton goes for 22 and 12 in just 27 minutes, shot 81% from the floor. So it just indicates like if one of these 3 dominant ball handlers are out, we're looking at a little bit of spike for Ayton. And I'm not scared of the matchup against the Raptors without Pirtle.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I think this is a great matchup for him. I was looking at that too because the Mamu matchup pretty good for him. He's going to have some big size if that's going to be the guy guarding him for most of the game. But also don't mind Mamu stuff. It's up at 11.5 because when he does play without Pirtle, he gets up to about 10 to 12 points. But they're on it now. The books are, so there's not much there for Mamu Kalashvili. But still like the centers in this one. And I love the center. This is definitely my favorite bet today is Neemias Queta in this one. Love him on the double. This is just a party at the rim against the Wizards. We're talking about like Marvin Bagley, Tristan Vukcevic, who are going to be in this one. Wouldn't matter if Alex Sarr was playing in terms of rim protection, but this team is dead last everywhere in terms of protecting the rim, protecting the entire paint, protecting it against centers, guys who are rolling to the rim off of pick and rolls. Neemias is doing that pretty well as well. We're looking at them as second most field goal attempts, most points per game to the roll man as well. There's just a lot to like here. And the rebounds, 9.5 plus money. I think like I'm saying, I don't think this is blowout a game that's going to be like totally out of control. Even if this ends at around 10, 11 points, I think it's going to be within double digits for most of the game. That does leave you with a few more starters. Queta, there's not a direct correlation between him and Jaylen Brown being off and him doing more necessarily, but Jaylen Brown, a big body and a guy who's obviously taking a lot of shots. There's going to be more to go around. So love him to get the points and definitely like the even something like a 15 and 10 if you wanted to play something like that.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, you called Derek White the number 1 option with Brown out. Isn't it Peyton Pritchard, though?
No, I'm not calling him the number 1 option. I'm saying you don't want him to be one or
you're saying
2.
He's not the number 1 option.
No,
I'm
no.
saying
Yeah.
PP is the man with the ball in his hands tonight.
He is. It's just like 23.5 points at this point.
No, yeah, exactly. I'm just saying it ties nicely with Queta, with him being his pick and roll partner, with him being the guy cleaning up after the drives, right? So I think it makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, the Pelicans hosting the Wolves for the second straight game here, which is a strange scheduling anomaly. And the Wolves are supposed to just smack them, blow them out, minus 11.5 at this point after they took them lightly in the first half, then stormed back to take control of that game, win in overtime. And so the way I fade the Pelicans along with that line is saying Jeremiah Fears, the head of the snake, is going to get some rough treatment, sort of like Jordan and Pippen used to treat point guards when they're just like, yeah, you're not scoring today. We got Ant, we got JDM all over this guy. The Wolves defense, very good limiting point guards. Also number 1 limiting 3-point attempts in the last 7, number 9 limiting shots at the rim. Fears, he had 18 points on 7 of 9 shooting in the first 3 quarters of that game. Before the Wolves stormed back, he went 0 for 3 in the fourth in overtime, got 3 points at the free throw line, but I'm not really scared of him scoring against this Wolves defense. Since Derek Queen started rolling and it's been like a Queen-centered offense, he's dipped to 10th in effective field goal percentage, has Jeremiah Fears. He's just getting there on sheer volume and, being the future for the point guard for this organization, they hope. I mean, he's mostly getting points off threes, 44% on threes So that's not a great matchup against the Wolves. And there's always the Jose Alvarado factor that if the Pelicans just say like, okay, we need a little more competitive, a little more presence at the point guard position, a little more of a veteran, maybe Alvarado just steals some minutes from Fears.
Yeah, I don't have any explanation for why he's doing so well, because he shouldn't necessarily be, but he is good. And he is certainly, I didn't even mean to make this a pun, but he is absolutely fearless. He definitely is somebody who is ready for all of the smoke. So I love him. Terrible matchup. The only thing I would say is like, if he's going to be on ball a ton, he might get some points, but I still don't think he's going to necessarily be there with the RA in addition to it. And it's probably more Trey Murphy field goal attempts coming as the guy who's on ball the most for that squad. But I love Keyshawn in this game because I do like the Wizards. You might have been able to tell. And I think 25.5 PRA is still good. He should be at about 25.5. I think that's relatively fair. But I think there's a little bit of a depression coming in this one in terms of his line being deflated, because we think that Boston's a team he shouldn't do well against, and I just don't agree. I think he's been playing poorly over the last 3, shooting wise, got some fouls, had a few tough opponents. I just don't see this as the same level of tough opponent with who's going to be out there, and the confidence that this team is going to have from being able to really hang with the Celtics big time in this one and not just be down by the 20 to 30 that we expect from them. That's really it. I mean, there's a couple guys like with Sarr out. That is a big deal to me. You're going to have Trey Johnson out as well. That's a scorer that comes off the bench for them that takes about 26 minutes. Keyshawn's definitely correlated to both those guys. And I still think Chris Middleton is going to be playing 20 minutes, and we just expect that now. And that does mean even with CJ on court and Keyshawn on court, he's still looking at about 29 PRA per 36. So I think those are the two guys that are going to be doing the bulk of the work here with the ball in their hands. I love him for all of it as a result of the usage.
Yeah, with Jaylen Brown out, he doesn't have to try to shadow him basically, right? And risk getting into foul trouble, which has been a big issue for the kid earlier in the season. And I mean, yeah, his numbers are deflated because he was out sick, he was out injured, right? And then he sort of slowly ramped his way back up. And now I think, yeah, he's going to get that full workload, and several guys out, not just Sarr, right? I mean, Kispert, Trey Johnson, there's several guys, and Bilal Coulibaly out on the wing for the Wiz.
Yeah, kind of buried the lead there. I mean, the other guys are just as important, especially Bilal. That's probably the most direct correlation. I didn't even look at without Bilal for some reason. I didn't even notice him because he's been out so frequently. But that is probably the biggest impact in terms of positively affecting Keyshawn because he's not playing. So that is all the time we have for you guys in this one, though. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We're coming here for Week 13 NFL playoff props, so make sure you check those out. And we will be back on Friday with the episode as always for the NBA. So until we see y'all next, happy betting.